Welcome back. It's the Flow Friday Sports Show on Flow FM, and it's time to have a look at the River Murray Netball Association as they wrapped up their season last week, and the finals kick off tomorrow, which is always exciting. Pat Brown's on the line with me to talk through it all. How's it going, Pat? No doubt you're excited for finals.
Yeah, definitely, Dan. I'm good. I hope you are as well. It's the nervous time of the year now.
Yeah, it's the nervous time of the year when the finals kick off and the games start to mean just a little bit more. We'll get into the finals this weekend in a moment, but firstly, backtracking to last weekend for what was the last round of the season. There were no twists and turns with the final ladder. Pretty much all went as expected. So let's start off with Mannum beating Jervois 60-53, and with that win, they locked in their spot in the finals.
Yeah, they locked in their spot in the finals, but I got a little bit of concern with them because we always knew that the game was going to be very close and contested well between Jervois and Mannum. Mannum started very, very well. They sort of took the lead. Both teams were contesting every pass and there was a lot of tough defensive pressure. But Mannum had a sort of mini break halfway through the first quarter and were actually 10 goals up. And then Jervois came back at them and reduced that lead by the quarter time. But then by half time, Mannum were back up by 13. They had a really good second quarter. Their team just clicked well. The intensity and the aggression for the ball continued. Mannum just seemed to lift themselves that little bit extra. But Jervois weren't prepared to go down. So the 13-goal lead to Mannum at half time got reduced back to 10 by three-quarter time. And then, of course, at the end of the game, they were only 7 up. So Mannum didn't play out a whole game. And if they want to go up against the Suns this week, they've got to play a whole game. They can't have these fits and starts where they play well and then they let them back in. And that's what they seem to do. Jervois actually won the second half last week. And it's only the fact that they had a 13-goal lead for Mannum that Jervois lost the game. So Mannum really seriously have to look at last week's game because they're going to need, as good as they played, they're going to need so much more if they want to continue through the finals.
Maipalonga went down to the Imperials 39-58, so they had a chance to jump Mannum if they were able to knock off the Imps. And so Maipo miss out on finals, and I'd imagine they're pretty disappointed about that. If you look through some of their season results, they lost to the Coorong Cats in round 3 by just 2 goals. They lost to Mannum in round 7 by just 1 goal. So really that result ended up deciding the finals picture. They only lost to the Imps by 3 back in round 9. So they were right around the mark against some of the best teams. And of course they had that draw against the Ramblers, which, given the way the percentages played out, they would have made the finals if that had been just 1 goal difference and they'd managed to win that one. So close, but not quite good enough for Maipo. And I reckon, they will be pretty upset with the way the season's gone.
Well, if my memory serves me correct, I'll be really upset because it'll be the first time since we came to the club, which was 2004, that Maipo haven't actually made the Final Four. That to them is something that they haven't tasted in a long, long time. So they would be very disappointed. But when you lose the players that they lost last year, one of those times when pregnancies come to play, it can impact a team. It happened to me when I was coaching in 2007. I lost 5 players, but we were lucky we had the strength within our club and we gained a couple of extra that we could still maintain, back up the premiership. But they would be very disappointed in it. But I have to say, after the hiccup Imps had against Storm, where, as I said, somebody said to me it was the worst game they've ever seen Imps play, Imps had to come back, and they had to come back at Maipo hard last week just to let Storm know that they were still in it and they were still the team to beat. So I'm not surprised with the scoreline. I mean, it was a 19-goal difference. Imps would have really badly needed to fill in themselves and the opposition that they're still the number 1 team to beat.
All right, a good response from the Imps, and I'm sure we'll get a good response from Maipo next season. I've got no doubt they'll be very, very focused on getting back into the finals frame. 2 more games from last weekend, both blowouts. The Southern Suns over the Coorong Cats, 75-27 at Pinaroo.
The match began very well with both teams scoring 3 goals. But then the Suns applied the defensive pressure and forced the Cats into having to rework the ball to be able to get into their goal circle. Olivia Clark in at goalkeeper for the Suns she's a very good reader of the ball. If you actually just focus on her when she's playing, she's very much aware of when the ball's coming back down the court, she's watching. So she's working out and she's watching where the players are leading, and she really knows on which side of the goal circle the ball's going to come in. So she's maybe not so much defensive on the player as the ball comes down, but she's very defensive in her setting up of positions for the ball, and that's one of her big strengths. They had a 15-8 goal quarter time, so there was only 7 goals in it, but then they had a brilliant second quarter and shot 24 to the Cats 3. The Cats came back a bit in the third quarter, and there was only a 4-goal difference in scoring for that quarter. So they showed that, they were still here. They wanted to finish the game off. They wanted to finish their season. But then the Suns decided, no, we've got to go with this. Taylor Guthrie's ability to deflect ball and then back up with her teammates was really, really good. The spectators loved that defensive pressure. And it was, again, a 21-5 goal final quarter. So, you've got to play 4 quarters of netball if you want to win a game.
All right, and lucky last, the Mallee Storm over the Ramblers, 75-46.
Yeah, Ramblers took the first centre pass in this game, but it was turned over straight away. So the pressure right from Storm from the start was there. They were very strong. I think I've said it so many times. Very strong, tall, bodily strength. I mean, the Ramblers goalies, because they like working so close together, they would have really struggled against the Storm defence. Harsing had to have been quite accurate to be able to penetrate that defensive pressure. Storm had a very strong, confident attack, and they have a very, what I've termed, a grim, determined defensive pressure.
Now let's get into this weekend's finals. Imps versus Storm tomorrow at Lameroo, and the Imps finished on top. They only lost 2 games all year, and they were both against the Storm, so they'll be a bit nervous about this matchup.
Yeah, they will. They won't have liked going down to them only a couple of weeks ago. They're going to have to come out as a cohesive unit, because players like Lucy Harkness at goal defence, as her and Taylor Guthrie are both very aerial players and everything, but when you're coming up against tall, experienced players like Tennille Gray, and that you have to be on target and you have to be fit and committed, and that is what they're going to need as a whole team to get around Storm tomorrow. I'm not too sure how Imps will handle it if they don't, because they are very much used to being the number one team. But Storm have worked really, really hard. They recruited very well after the start of the season when they had a couple of hiccups very early in the piece. So they'll want to finish this season off. They'll want to benefit from the win the other week. They are here. They want to be the number one team, and they'll go out after Imperials tomorrow.
All right, well, that is going to be a cracking game, with the winner going straight through to the grand final, and the loser will play either the Suns or Manham. They're playing on Sunday. The winner goes through and the loser is eliminated.
Yeah, that's right. And what's interesting about these two teams is when they met in round 5, it was a convincing win for the Suns by 29 goals. However, in round 14, the Suns only beat Manham by 1. So Manham will have a lot of belief in that result, that they can go from 29 goals down to only 1 this time round. How much better can they be? But they're going to have to make sure they play a whole game. I love watching the Suns team. I love their brand of netball. I love the way they incorporate their whole team into their play. Yes, you can say Taylor Guthrie has amazing elevation and everything like that, and Beck Oakley's a good goalie, but they play a complete whole team game. And that for Manham is going to be very hard on Sunday. They've got to come up and play that whole game, and I just don't see that Manham, even with that 1-goal loss in round 14, are playing a complete whole game like the Suns are at the moment. So I think the Suns will win on Sunday, and that will set up, regardless of whether it's Imps or the Storm, a brilliant prelim final the following week.
Massive weekend ahead in the River Murray Netball Association. Thanks very much, Pat. Enjoy the action this weekend. We'll catch you next Friday.
Yeah, not a problem, Dan. Catch ya.